And we are back. Well, it's about bloody time. Now, I would normally just wait until the end of the video to give this spiel, but we are this close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you like bikes and you like videos about bikes and you can find it in your heart to tolerate me on your screen, then I would really appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Let's get into it. In today's video, we have this old gem. And when I say old, it's mid-90s. So, I mean, I guess it's not that old. You could probably label it mid-school. This here is the very first carbon fiber bike that I have ever owned. Apart from my track bike, even with the lock here hanging around the head tube, this bike is over 1 kilo lighter than any other bike that I currently own. Now, it is in a bit of a sorry state. So the tires are perished, the lever hoods are perished, the bar tape's all torn up, and the entire drivetrain is completely worn out. So the plan is to completely strip it, clean it, build it up with some newer components, and perhaps even make it lighter than it already is. So let's get this bike stripped down, cleaned up, and then we can go through the list of parts that we're going to replace on this bike. So for reference, before we begin, so it is many, many hours later, and what was pretty much worst case scenario of a seized stem, yeah, it just took way longer than I thought to get it out. I did have a plan B, but there comes a time when you're sort of that deep into plan A that you just want to see it work. So yeah, I eventually got the stem out, and it was pretty much a matter of just hacksawing all the way around down the head tube until I could pry this out. After that, I had a plan of running a black headset, which I actually have out of another bike. I fitted it in here, and then unfortunately, for whatever reason, the lower part of the steerer tube where it bonds to the steel steerer on this is a little bit too big to fit through the lower cup. So I can't use that. I'm gonna have to use the original silver headset. The only real issue with that is I had the idea in my head that I was gonna use the black one. So I've kind of sacrificed this headset a little bit, and it isn't in the best shape. Now the bearing races and the bearings are all in perfect condition, but the outside took a little bit of a beating when I was working on getting this stem out. So it's not the prettiest thing. Once I get the bike sort of together, I might just hit it with a file or a flap disc and just try and tidy it up or something, I don't know. But we'll see what the bike looks like overall. In any case, we are finally at a point where we can start building this bike up, which thank goodness, because yeah, I was kind of getting sick of pulling it apart. So here we have on the bench all the stuff that I've stripped off the bike. Unfortunately, we have had to sacrifice the stem to get it out. The chain's no good. You would have seen the jockey wheels are pretty spiky at this point. so that rear derailleur won't be going back on. I think I will reuse the front derailleur. So all of the components that were on the bike were Ultegra, so not the worst, but obviously quite dated. The components that we're going to put on the bike is going to be all mechanical, but 105. Slightly newer, all black. Even though it is a downgrade, I guess, in hierarchy, the fact is that the newer 105 is always going to work better than the old Ultegra, especially when it is in this condition. So we have a few other bits here that we're going to put on the bike, and I don't know if I'm going to discuss each individual component as I go, so I'll quickly list what I have here on the bench. We're going to go, because we've sacrificed that stem, we are going to go with a quill to 1 1/8 adapter, and I'm going to run 100mm stem. The original stem was 150mm, which was way too stretched out for me. Also, I could not use it because at some point it had either been in a crash or had been twisted to the side for storage reasons. That is where it had seized. I couldn't get it back straight. So yeah, I mean, even if I wanted to reuse it, I couldn't. So we'll be going with a new stem, some carbon bars. Now, I don't know whether I'm actually going to use these bars. They are a little bit wider than what I would normally run. So these are 44 centimeter. So I do have some alloy bars, and I may opt for those because they're a little bit narrower, but we'll see how we go once we get up to that point. I have a Chinese 3D printed saddle, carbon rails, carbon base. So it's pretty light, especially compared to the saddle that was on there. I've just got some new Physique bar tape, which is the bar tape that I pretty much use on all my road bikes if I get the choice. It's 2mm, comfy enough, but I sweat a lot. And because it isn't like the foam type, it holds up really well for me. Now, next up, we have something that will be fitted to this bike for the video, but will most likely be fitted to my actual road bike once this is all wrapped up. So I've got myself some new GP5000s 28mm, some TPU tubes. I've never actually tried TPU tubes before, so keen to see how they go. And a while back, I actually picked up these Dura C50 wheels. I paid like $100 for them, and I thought that was too good of a deal to pass up. I've never actually fitted them to my bike, and I mean, they're kind of dated. They're not really that light compared to a shallower profile aluminium wheel, but for the purpose of this video, they're much lighter than the wheels that were on the bike, and yeah, we'll see how they go. So you may be wondering, where are all the drivetrain components? And that's where this bike comes in. So I picked this bike up for $140 off Marketplace, which in itself is a bit of a steal. And I could just rewrap the bars and clean it up, probably double my money. But where's the fun in that? So I actually got this bike. It had clip-on TT bars on it, which I'd been looking for myself anyway, just on the trainer to make it a little bit more comfy for the long rides indoors. If we take into account the price of that, I've basically paid $100 for this bike. Now, in addition to the 105 components, it also has a carbon fiber seat post. So may as well take the chance to reuse that. With the carbon fiber saddle, it should create a bit of a weight reduction. So I'm gonna jump in, tear this down. Fingers crossed it goes a bit more smoothly than tearing apart the Giant. I mean, it should. It's a much newer bike. It's in much better condition. So we'll get all the parts torn down that we're gonna use, give them a bit of a tidy up, and then we can get into reassembly. And that is a build wrapped up, and thank goodness, because even though overall it wasn't too bad, at the time it just felt like this bike was fighting me every single step of the way. But now that it's together, standing back and looking at it, I am stoked with how it actually turned out, and I am keen to take this thing for a ride. So while it is too late in the day now to take this thing out for a spin, with the magic of editing, you don't have to wait as long as I do. So for anybody wondering, so as you've just seen, we went out to Skippy Park Crit Track this morning. So Sunshine Coast Cycling Club host a crit out there every now and then. Now, the reason that I actually attended that was pretty much just to check out C and D grade, see how I might stack up against those guys and girls. And yeah, it appears that I still need a little bit of work on my fitness before I take on something like that. But there is a crit out there coming up on October 26th. So we'll see how we go with the training. Might enter and have a go at D grade, and yeah, see how we go with that. But this bike here, just on the ride out there and the ride back, performed exceptionally well, considering that I just quickly ran a tape measure over it to get a basic fit. It was incredibly comfortable the whole way out and the whole way back. So I completely fluked the fit, and yeah, stoked with it. Like I said at the start of the video, the wheel sets that I've put on this bike are most likely gonna go over to my road bike. But before I do that, I might take this out a couple more times, the places that I've done Strava segments, and I'll just see how this bike stacks up with these components, and then I'll swap them over to my road bike and then see how it goes. Because yeah, I don't know what it is about this bike in particular, but I got a lot of PBs on the ride out and the ride back. Hopefully you enjoyed this video of the Giant CFR build. If you do like these sort of builds and you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. Like I said, we are very, very close to that 1,000 subscriber mark. And after that, I promise I won't hassle you guys anymore, but I really, really want to hit that 1,000 if I can. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. And until the next one,